Okay, you want to hear something funny? So this area right here, it's a nice little garden, it's a little oasis amongst the dregs of East Vancouver. So I have a bit of a funny story, but also a very I think if this was anyone, but me, or like anyone who doesn't have that impulsive reaction to psychology, that when you're experiencing ego death, you kind of just gotta make do and surrender and just hold on tight. Well, actually don't hold on tight, that's a bad way of phrasing it. Just, know that you're in for the ride and that the ride's going to dictate what happens next, especially with DMT. So I've talked about how I've done a lot of other people's changa, and always was like something that gave me disparate effects, and that like one dose wouldn't do the same thing each time I took it. I've never done changa more than like twice a day. It's been a long time since I have done it, but the last time I did any that was a batch I didn't make, it was here, and I had gotten like a gram just to try it because my buddy said it was new stuff, and I was like, okay, well, let's see. The last stuff you had fucking gave me a hell of a headache, and made me break through incredibly hard for about like half an hour, and left me with like a 2-hour MAOI headache. So stupidly, I got some K, and I got some changa, and I did an IM ketamine near here in a bathroom where I've had notoriously bad experiences. People have tried to rob me in that bathroom more times than I can count. It's actually kind of ridiculous. I stay the fuck away from that A&W bathroom, because I have had knives pulled on me, I have had spray held in my face, but I somehow managed to talk my way out of every instance of being mugged there. But yeah, so I did an IM of probably about 75K. This would be before my tolerance was super high. That would do nothing to me now. So it's already like on the verge of kind of slipping away. But that was kind of the point. That was to take away some of the flight anxiety and to make it easier to break through. I don't know why I wanted to break through on this stuff out in the open. I wasn't really thinking this through. This was around the time where I had started the benzo taper, so I was on enough to still get me kind of high, so I wasn't thinking very clearly. Yeah, I came over here and I just loaded up what was essentially like a crack pipe with 75 milligrams of this stuff. And took a rip, and immediately the buildings around here, they all started very, very large, and the shadows that weren't there started, almost like tendrily shadows started just spinning around them, and the buildings started to spin into these spirals that collapsed in on themselves, and I was like, fuck, I'm breaking through. And this is like right by an alley where people are, like, I'm watching people smoking fucking fentanyl right now. I mean, I'm gonna have the decency not to show that, but it's safe to say it's not a place you want to be out of your fucking body. And I, as I said, just bought a bunch of drugs when this happened, so I had like $300 worth of fucking K, and I think Xanax, and yeah, I only got a quarter gram of changa to try, and yeah, safe to say, it wasn't like the changa that I make. It felt like for half an hour I was on a heroic dose of mushrooms. Like, I could still kind of see what was going on around me, but I essentially just put my backpack on, so I was straddling it with the front of my body, and then I just fucking, I collapsed down to the ground, put my hat over my eyes like that, and yeah, just fucking wrote it out. And because it, yeah, I mean, it was weird with the MAOI. It lasted a long time, but it was one of those weird time dilation trips on changa that it didn't feel like it lasted as long as it did. I was surprised when I looked at my phone when I could finally see it, and looked at the time and realized that it was like, you know, half an hour later, and I was still high. Like I still felt like I was on a couple of grams of shrooms. For about an hour. And yeah, needless to say, that kind of halted my attempts to do changa outdoors. I've only done it outdoors a couple other times, and that was when I would try smoking joints of changa outside, which is a very different experience. You know, it's more on par with, you know, a strong dose of shrooms that just keeps progressing for about 45 minutes because you just keep hitting off the joint. And yeah, no, I had a blast, and I probably was looking like a fucking, like, tweaked out goober because I was like going around like, whoa, dude, whoa, trippy, looking at like how the fucking construction sites everywhere around my house, they had these fences, and the fences would mesh against one another. And if you've ever seen like anything that is like a wire on psychedelics, like if you've looked at like power lines, for example, and watch how they'll spin and they'll bend and all that, like, you know, when you have layers upon layers of fence meeting, it becomes fucking crazy intricate. Like it starts to become like one giant web. And yeah, I had enough of my own trying to do that a couple times with joints. I mean, when I did the changa here and broke through, that was just a one out of a one hitter. But I personally find that joints with changa are a waste. It does seem to have that issue of DMT tolerance, where you take in a certain amount and then you don't get any higher until like an hour later. So needless to say, each time you puff off the joint, you're gonna have to take, you know, an extra puff and then an extra puff and then an extra puff. And so yeah, like a half-gram joint will end up getting you high for about 45 minutes. I found might be something nice to share people, because as I said, it is more like just like a short-lived shroom trip than it, but you know, without the nastiness that comes with shrooms, in my opinion. And by nastiness, I mean just I get like unpleasant physical side effects, like I feel like I'm getting gut rot and nausea and so on and so forth. But yeah, sorry, I'm being mindful of the noise. I just had to share that because it's kind of a funny story and also a cautionary one. Do not, I repeat, if you're alone, especially, do not fucking test a batch in public. Like, even my own batches, like, when I tested the last one, I tested 50 milligrams of it, and it was with the strongest DMT I've ever fucking come across. This was the DMT used in the one-hit wonder pens, easily twice as strong as the strongest DMT I had come across at that point, which made the previous batches before my last one. And with those I needed about 75 milligrams out of a bong held in to fucking break through. But yeah, I tested 50 just to get that like sub breakthrough, like still in your body. You can kind of jive around my room just tripping out with the fucking changa. But oh no, I got fucking blasted out of my body. That was the trip I described, where there's all these little dudes who had bowler hats and they're flying by me going and then yeah, there's this big red lady who I was showing at the end who was composing everything, and I was just super glad that I didn't fucking do that like on my roof and fucking accidentally jump off or something. Yeah, you know what I fucking got today was I got some really fucking good cigarettes. God, it's noisy over here. These things fucking 7 stars. They're a Japanese brand, and I've really been like digging fucking Japanese smokes, man. Like, they do it right. Like, look at this shit. See, it's like, these are like some of the strongest cigarettes you can get in Japan, because for the most part they're quite light. But you can see that my camera will focus. I don't know if it will. You can kind of see. Anyway, so just take my word for it. It says 13 milligrams tar, 1.1 milligram nicotine. Now that is a lot of tar and nicotine for a cigarette. Compared to American smokes, not so much. It's about the same as like Camel Blue. But I smoked one of these already, I'm not even joking. It had no chemical taste whatsoever. I can feel that it's got one of those, because Japan uses these interesting filtration systems. I think it's like a government mandate that charcoal is used, at least 2 layers of charcoal. I think it's called a flow filter. Like some of them, like I just got Japanese Dunhills, and the Japanese Dunhills have recessed filters on them in addition to the flow filter. I like recessed filters because I can fucking pull a smoke out of my pack with my teeth, and I can walk and smoke. Nice thing about these too. These I only use on joints though, because I mean you can see the amount of fucking tar that's catching, but I feel no less high than if I was to have smoked a joint like this without it. But my lungs feel a hell of a lot less weighty. But as you can see, you know, these things, you go through them fast. This one's like pretty much done. But what these things are charcoal filters basically. And so like, I've always been aware that there are cigarettes that have charcoal filters. I'm even aware that there's kind of a sorted past with charcoal filters, because I believe it was Kent, the same cigarette company that put asbestos in filters. They tried using charcoal back when filters were first becoming in vogue, back when cigarettes were in vogue. They essentially just put in like a straight lining of charcoal, so people who inhaled the charcoal particulates, which yeah, not good. You don't want to inhale charcoal. That is, yeah, a double whammy in terms of shredding your lungs. Yeah, so that gave, in my opinion, I think that gave charcoal filters a bit of a bad rap, unfortunately, because like, there are brands in Canada that have charcoal filters. There's only a couple of them. There's Belmonts, which are arguably one of the better Canadian cigarettes. they are the only Canadian cigarette I'm aware of that's actually sourced from tobacco grown in Canada. There are, of course, res smokes, but res smokes, I'm not gonna fucking beat around the bush, are complete shit. And I pity the fool who fucking smokes them, because they are like, I think they're killing themselves like 5 times faster. But it sucks because that's all people can afford. I mean, I got this carton of 7 Stars for ridiculously cheap, like ridiculously cheap. It just took some effort on my behalf, and I'm sure you can find a place in New York City where there are, even on Craigslist, you can find people selling duty-free smokes. They pay fuck all for it. Like, I got this carton for $120, and the guy gave me $20 worth of groceries too. But yeah, I'm gonna have another one because these things are fucking amazing. Like, what they really remind me of is when I was younger and Canada didn't have ridiculous policies on cigarettes that banned like anything remotely akin to a flavor, fucking outside of just tasting like pure chemicals. You could get what were called JPS Blacks, I believe, which was John Players and Sons. They came in a really fucking fancy package, gold fucking font that was like 3D. The pack was black. Like, they just, you know, reeked of this air of premium fucking smokes. They were more just like a straight Virginia. They were kind of similar to like Benson Hedges Black, which I believe we only get in Canada, and that sucks for the rest of the world because they are by far the best Benson Hedges I've tried, and I tried the European ones, I tried the American ones, the golds, but they're just not strong enough. Holy fuck, these are strong. But what they remind me of even more is now is a brand that's now discontinued in Canada. It was called Craven A, and I remember seeing the ads for it on YouTube. I can almost remember the Craven A jingle in my head. But I remember they had this distinctly nutty flavor to them. And I really liked them. They were like, I found them when I started fucking around with heroin. I was like working in the sun, doing power washing fucking 13 hours a day, and I had to wear this big ass trench coat so I didn't get fucking drenched, and I was sweating and fucking overheating by the end of the day. They were really long days, and so I would make just enough because I was getting paid in cash each day for I guess a QP of heroin every few days, which would last me for like 12 hours. And I would just sniff like, I guess, half a pea at a time. Oh, how innocent things were. I would buy a pack of Craven A's, and oh god, they tasted so good while I was nodding out. I mean, I could tell they were kind of like a lot of other quote-unquote old people smokes, like Rothmans, where they're very strong. They kind of taste like pipe tobacco almost. Very heavy on the lungs. My lungs were a lot more youthful and vigorous at the time, so I didn't, and also, you know, I was on heroin, so it didn't really register just how heavy they were on the lungs. And unlike Japan, we don't market our cigarettes in a way where there's anything remotely transparent. In fact, they name the light cigarettes, the full flavor cigarettes, and everything like that now ridiculous names, like for example, demorie, which has never been the same since like 5 years ago. It's just tasted like dirt ever since then for some reason, and they used to be one of the better brands in my opinion. They had a charcoal filter one, and it was demorie distinct XL, and because it's a ghost market thing, they can't just like show you what smokes they have. You have to know what to ask for, and then like if you want to look at what else is there, well, they have the flap open. They've got these flaps over where the cigarettes are, for each shelf. They'll open it and I'll be like, oh, do you have that there and this type? And like so many times I bought the wrong thing. My friends bought the wrong thing, because of just like how convoluted the naming is. Like, you know, my friend wanted to buy the demorie fucking charcoal filters and thought it was, or no, he asked for the right thing. He asked for the distinct, but they gave him smooth because he just said he wanted the charcoal filter variety, and they thought, I guess that meant light, and so, you know, they wouldn't even take it back. I mean, smokes in Canada suck. Charcoal filters, though, are they're shown to actually pull a lot of the particulates that you don't want in your lungs out of cigarettes. And you know, that obviously the easiest answer to eliminating these issues is to not smoke. But the thing is, if you are a smoker, especially if you're a former addict who's a smoker, like myself, it's kind of hard to stop, especially when your system is in a constant flux of just chemical deficits in the feel-good excitatory chemical area, where it gives you cravings for things. And you know, I get cravings for cigarettes probably more than anything else, and cigarettes are my way of keeping what William Burroughs calls the ugly spirit at bay. And the ugly spirit is a term that apparently a Navajo chief or something used to describe addiction, and I think it is fucking spot on. Like it should be like an archetype. Kind of like vampires are mostly allegories for addiction, you know, arguably sexual wanton desires too, ravenous appetite, but you know, these things are like addiction isn't limited just to chemical release from extraneous use of various compounds. Like you know, smoking cigarettes not the only way to get stress relief. In fact, smoking cigarettes will probably start causing you stress after you smoke for long enough. Like my lungs are fucked, and I need to smoke a certain amount of cigarettes and weed every day, and I find it's best to just go with what is shown to help. And also I save a ton of money fucking buying these like duty-free purchase cigarettes. Like these ones are from Korea, but they are the Japanese ones. I don't think, unless someone's counterfeiting them themselves, that there are any like international varieties of this. I think they're all the same thing. You probably can't sell them in Canada because even though it is obviously Virginia tobacco, it's not just Virginia. As I said, there's a nuttiness to it. Yeah, there are like numerous reports that show that Japan, when you adjust for the population disparities, you know, because they're a much smaller country than the States in terms of the amount of people who are natives to that land and that they're born there. It's weird because cigarettes are socially, like, heavily stigmatized there. They, in theory, have stricter tobacco laws than Canada, but in completely different ways. Like, you know, you can't just smoke on the street. You have to go to a box kind of that's every 2 blocks, and it's like I imagine one of those smoking section type boxes. I remember seeing them as a kid in Canada, and yeah, they did not look appealing. Like, these things were almost kind of effective in showing you how bad cigarettes are for you, because you saw, if you looked in, they were made out of plexiglass. You could see all the tar building up on the inside, and then just people fucking puffing away inside this fucking hot box of all this other fucking secondhand smoke that's just been stagnating fucking all day. I personally, even though I'm like, yeah, smokers' rights, fucking, we shouldn't be treated like fucking children, and robbed of the ability to have like a menthol or to like even know what's on the market. I think there are some regulations that make no sense whatsoever, but smoking indoors is something, even though I think it should be up to the business to decide whether they permit that, it's not something I would do even if given the chance, because, like, I already feel like an asshole smoking cigarettes anywhere near people, and something like these 7 stars with very, very strong tobacco, I can tell that it probably is something people who don't smoke are gonna smell from like down the block. You know, us smokers tend to forget how muted our sense of smell and taste has become as a result of cigarettes. I've noticed every time that I quit for more than 5 days at a time, I've gained my sense of smell, my sense of taste back, and maybe because I was, you know, going through some degree of nicotine withdrawal, even though I would not go cold turkey. That would be a recipe for a disaster. That would turn me into fucking Godzilla, and I would be like, yeah, swallowing up skyscrapers, trying to smoke them. Maybe, fuck, who knows. But I mean, I was always like using snus or a vape or something, but because I wasn't caking my lungs down in carcinogenic tar, after the carcinogenic tar left my lungs, which, you know, any smoker who's smoked for more than 5 years and has quit and not taken any carcinogenic chemicals into their lungs know that the purge process is quite nasty. You even get this when you smoke organic cigarettes like American Spirits. You get it's a different feeling. It takes a little while to kind of acclimatize to it because it's not like a flash hit of nicotine, like a fucking crack hit of nicotine. It's not freebase tobacco, but the thing is, American Spirits, the additive free, all that stuff, it's a bit of a sham. It is about as organic as, like, it doesn't make sense. It's a misnomer to even say that, because like, the thing with organic products is that they go bad very, very quickly. And yeah, you could make an argument for how American Spirits, once you crack the pack, would probably dry out faster than other cigarettes. Maybe I would say that's up for debate because they have so much fucking tobacco packed into them. But they're definitely not better for you, and like the reason they have to put additive free doesn't mean a safer cigarette is because like essentially their campaign, their slogan of that is untrue. They just don't use salt-based nicotine, which is a good thing, but at the same time, because you have to, like, one cigarette lasts like 10 minutes because of all the tobacco packed the fuck into it, you're probably inhaling more tar, if anything. I've tried American spirits, I tried American ones, I tried the Perique blend, which was actually kind of nice. I don't think they're safer than, like, ordinary cigarettes. They will, however, make it harder to chain smoke. Because the thing of, like, why I use the cocaine crack metaphor for the tobacco and American spirits, or the only other brands in Canada are Northfields or Chinese National Tobacco. Can you believe that? Yeah, no, those are actually pretty good. I believe they're made in partnership with Indonesia, but they taste just like tobacco and nothing else. They burn really long like an American spirit, yeah, I mean, like, practically they do make more sense because you would smoke less if you smoke them normally. I'm sure some people can chain smoke them, like David Lynch smoked 2 packs of American spirits. I think I can't remember if it's the yellow or the blue pack that's medium flavor, but it to friends and stuff I've been around smoking them, they can't tell the difference between that and like a red smoke, and a red smoke is just as organic. It's essentially, pressed, packaged, grown in the same sort of way, but you're paying like $10 more at least for them. Yes, the filters and the paper are going to be much better quality than American spirits, but red smokes, but that's kind of where the differences end. There's a little bit less of a chemical taste in American spirits, but yeah, they are not organic, and I don't think they are a solution for safer smoking. If you truly want to smoke organic tobacco, you kind of have to grow your own. You have to grow your own, or you have to order some from a place that has like shag tobacco, and then make a blend and find out how to take a burl of tobacco and blend it in such a way that you can, use a rolling machine to pack them into cigarettes, or roll them by hand. I've tried rolling tobacco a couple times, but it's super expensive here. Like, it's the same price as the amount you'd get for like paying for premium cigarettes that are tailor-made. Because they charge essentially for the gram. So it's never been cheap to smoke something like drum, which I have when I've been away from like a place where I can reliably get cigarettes, working in a rural area. But I'm not really a fan. Like my buddy brought me some. I don't know if he brought me, but he bought some American Spirit blue rolling tobacco, and it was good. I'm not gonna lie, it was good. I put in my own little charcoal filters, but the thing was, I just realized they weren't practical for me to smoke, because I'd be like on MDMA and sweating and fucking shaky, and like I try to roll one and it's like covered in sweat, and just like, oh god, am I gonna get more high by fucking smoking like my fucking drug riddled sweat in the cigarette? So I was just like, yeah, no. And also just it dries out very quickly, and I multiple times have had to like put water on a piece of bread, and that's the only way I find that I can rehydrate tobacco or weed without altering the flavor too much, as long as it's not in there for too long, because orange peels will make it taste like orange. Potato pieces are more neutral, but you can still kind of taste that earthy tomato flavor. So yeah, through all my trials and tribulations, after nearly 18 years of being a cigarette smoker on and off, I find that yeah, if you can quit with a vape, you know, be it an IQS or a juice, like you know, a fucking vape bro type juice based vape, like, I can't at all recommend Saltnik, because I don't think most people are responsible enough in using it. People tend to be like, that tastes good, and then just keep hitting it, and then, oh, what the fuck, now I have nicotine poisoning, and I'm fucking puking, and got a headache, and whoopsie daisies. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many times I've heard that from actual adults. It's ridiculous, but I always use just the freebase vape juice when I did vape. I can't vape now. It like gives me gastric reflux. Everything gives me gastric reflux now. So like I stopped smoking for 5 years with vapes, and my lungs felt much better. But if you have to smoke, which, you know, if you are someone who has done hard drugs in their lives, and you know, especially for long periods where you're used to getting that like instant chemical release that's so fucking like delicious, fucking yeah, that ugly spirit inside, it roars and it wants a sacrifice. So fucking, you know, I'll burn a fucking joint in a fucking cigarette, and it keeps that dragon inside at just a little bit calmer. Yeah, I've done a lot of research on Japanese cigarettes, and fuck off, Wasp. Why? Every fucking time. I'm getting stung at least once a day. This is ridiculous. I don't know if it's like I remember hearing that like something like brunettes get bitten more by mosquitoes than blondes. Like that sounds like an urban legend to me, but I swear there's something like that with wasps. They fucking hate me, and they always go after me. I'm watching you, fucker. Wow, there's a lot of them. Okay, I think I'm gonna fuck off soon. But yeah, like the charcoal filters make a huge difference. I'll link a study that actually shows that. Because, you know, when it was discovered that Japan, since they don't really enforce their smoking laws, like there are certain places that the gimmick is you essentially pay to be there to smoke inside. You know, Japan, though, their cops aren't exactly the cleanest. Like, they work openly with the Yakuza. Well, I mean, not, like, they wouldn't admit to that, but it's pretty clear that they do because of the red light districts and so forth. And the Yakuza are not nice people, let me tell you. Let me fucking tell you, because I know someone who did. I know them quite well. Yeah, but Yakuza, that's it. Talking to you, that's no beef, no worries, don't come after me, please, thank you. I like though that Japan doesn't put ridiculous warnings on their cigarettes. You can get any flavors of cigarette or cigar there. Like the Black Devils I got there, the mocha vanilla and the cacao, you can't get those anywhere else in the world because of the flavor. They're like, oh, it appeals to children. Children will be like, this is having a chocolate bar, and it's like when you actually smoke it, it's like, holy fuck, this is strong. No, a child's not gonna smoke this. They're gonna have one puff and be like, ew. Yeah, so like I always just scout out the Japanese brands on duty, like on websites for people who travel a lot, usually Taiwanese businessmen or Hong Kong businessmen, and will pick up a bunch of duty-free smokes and then sell them, usually for a bill, which is, for high quality smokes, really fucking cheap in my country. Most people in my country smoke illegitimate red smokes, at least for them, because you're not supposed to be using them if you're not native. I mean, you can use them if you're not native and you buy them in an official capacity, but they're not supposed to sell them to people who don't have their status card, which is essentially like proves you're 25% native, so open to certain benefits. I mean, because of this, I mean, a lot of native communities are booming because of the revenue, which is good, but people just aren't aware of how fucking bad these things are for you. Like, I'm a desperate fucking smoker, but I couldn't hack those things for too long, even though I could buy a pack for fucking less than $5 right down the street from my house, where the res is, fucking anytime I wanted, and there was all these different flavors, but yeah, it just like Japan does a couple of things. They somehow grow their tobacco without phosphate fertilizer, and that means it doesn't have, I believe, polonium, which grows in tobacco as a part of it. You can't separate it after it's grown. If you use phosphate fertilizer, which phosphate fertilizer is used for just about everything, that alone is thought to be a huge contributing factor to why there is nearly no smoking-related illnesses in Japan. And as I said, the government anyways has a strict policy on cigarettes. They have no reason to fucking hide the numbers. Yes, Asian males, except for East Indian Asian males, are predisposed to higher fortitude, immunity, whatever you want to call it, against types of carcinogenic related cancers, but that doesn't account for all of the disparity. The rest of it's thought to come from the charcoal activated filters, which pull out a lot of shit, and they also just don't use a lot of the chemicals, the preservatives, the ridiculous amount of preservatives we have in Western cigarettes. So suffice it to say, if you even if you don't want to live longer, because a lot of us smoke because we know it will kill us sooner, just to be honest, we don't want to go miserably. And trust me, I cough fucking voraciously every single day. Maybe voraciously is the wrong word in this context. Ravenously, it's fucking harsh and it hurts my lungs, and it's like a lot of phlegm coming up all the time. I think I've got bronchitis or some sort of pulmonary obstruction issue going on, but it's made a huge difference just smoking Japanese smokes as opposed to like Camels or something like that. Yeah, the 7 stars are fucking very good. They also have another branch of cigarettes that was supposedly like rebranded 7 stars, called Mavius, and they are very good. They have the ones with the little gel capsules. Like I've tried the light ones that are just plain. They're pretty good. They're about as good as like the top tier charcoal filters here, cigarettes here, Belmonts, which are okay in my opinion, especially comparatively. They're a premium brand. They are one of the better cigarettes, but they taste sterile. Like the way they do the charcoal filter, it takes most of the flavor out of it. And charcoal filters will take some of the flavor out of it, but when they do it with Japanese cigarettes, that flavor is usually the chemical flavor, and yeah, that's preferable. Once you try, you trust me, you'll know. And also the thing is, like, Mavius does like a lot of cigarettes that have like very low amounts of tar and nicotine, and they also have amazing flavors with like the dual gel capsules or single gel capsules. If I feel like I need to chain smoke all day, I'll pull out a pack of those. Yeah, anyways, there's a few fucking stories, and also some advice for fellow nicotine degenerates like myself. And yeah, I hope it helps. Anyways, bye-bye.